Oh, here we go, folks.
Bobby.
Oh, baby. The
What
moment I've been waiting
Jerry?
for.
What's up, brother? I've been listening to you.
Welcome in, sir. So how about this? Everybody, I'm going to let Robert take the stage. Take as long as you want to introduce yourself. Whatever you want people to know about yourself, go ahead and jump in. Do your thing. I'll follow up, and we can get at it.
I've seen your video today. You're going to try to lay back and be cool and not be an asshole like you was the other night to me.
Strategies.
Look, you're going to try to make me be the asshole. I see, bro.
I
I
know
got
how
you.
to play the game. I know how to play the game. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I nicknamed you the bearded turd.
The bearded turd. I can accept that. The bearded turd. I can accept it. Like I said, in your defense, I talked some shit. Was it last night or 2 nights ago? So I already told people in my group over here. I was
Man,
like,
I like it though. Hey, dude, if you can't get on here and discuss it and give each other shit about this whole, you might as well go on because man, I don't dislike anybody. I like a smart ass. I mean, I like arguing and playing. I mean, like me and my buddy a while ago, I couldn't get him off there, dude. He gets stuff.
Mike likes to chit chat. Yes, he does.
Oh boy, he can talk. I got one. Hey,
and he's always saying stupid
I thought,
shit, dude.
is there any way we
studies.
could all get on? I wish they'd let us all get on together.
I'm sure they will.
You know
eventually.
what I mean?
A lot of these apps are allowing for kind of more discussion-based things. I mean, I've already got some. Olivia. So we're gonna probably just banter a little bit here. You know, kind of feel each other out, and then of course we'll jump into topics. I imagine COVID and the election will be big topics we discuss. But yeah, to Robert's point, I think a big thing is we have to get back to having conversations. It's really easy to kind of talk shit and especially like when there's no face to face, even just like messages, you know.
Right.
It's really easy to lose tone and shit. But to your point, we got to be able to, and yeah. So as Resist said, we're gonna do a live stream after this as a group where me, Mike, Shy, will all be in there. So if you guys want to follow up on that, we'll kind of.
Cheyenne, yeah, I like her. Now he does that one. I've been on it a couple times. All right, I got a question for you, man.
Let's do it.
You ready? Since you all laid back and cool tonight, look here. Honest opinion. You honestly believe that there was no voter fraud?
Period. No, now I wouldn't say absolutely zero. I would concede that there was probably. So here's the thing: if we got an election with 100 plus million voters, yeah, you had a handful of voter fraud. In fact, I know one case was actually a Republican who got caught with voter fraud, trying to fuck with ballots. But to that point, that's why the really important term there is that we want to look for a statistical significance, right? So when you have like let's say for example, there's like how many lightning strikes are there a year, right? There's tons of them. How many times does it actually strike a person? Not that many, right? So what's the percentage likelihood of actually getting struck by lightning? Not that good. So to your point, yeah, you're going to find some cases of voter fraud because if you have like 100 million plus instances, nothing's perfect, right? The question is, was there a level that actually impacted the outcome? And that's when we can follow up and for sure say no. Now, are we still going to have to flesh out and find out a few instances what happened? 100%. But we actually catch that shit. So, for example, it's Koch funded. The Heritage Foundation, they're a conservative think tank. They've compiled a database on voter fraud throughout the decades, actually. There's probably thousands of instances. But again, thousands sounds like a lot. But we're talking thousands over billions of voting interactions over years, right? So it's actually a really, really small number, actually.
Okay. Well, I got one more question for you. Okay, one more little thing here for you. I'm going to shoot at you. In 2017, CNN come out talking about the Dominion voting machines and all that. They could be tampered with. They shouldn't use them. They're worthless and all this. And in 2020, this is proving that the Democrats own the media. 2020, they're backpedaling on the voting machines. Oh, no, man, no. Everybody,
I'll address this
a
little bit.
Ahead.
So because I'll admit, so here's the thing. If you're going to talk about CNN, we're not going to disagree too much. I think CNN's trash.
Good. All right, we'll drop it. Don't even answer it then. You don't have to answer.
Oh, no, you're good.
If you don't like CNN, they don't, you know.
Oh, no,
but they did do that.
You do have a point. You do have a point here. I just want to kind of let you, I'm just going to because I think it's good for people to know. I definitely lean left, no doubt about that. But I do recognize the corporate media structure. A lot of them lean left, 100%. But it's not that they necessarily lean left. It's just the American political spectrum has shifted right the past 4 decades to the point that what used to be a Republican is now pretty extreme right. And what used to be a Democrat is now kind of more like almost a moderate Republican, right? And so progressives are really kind of more just like on the left. and your extreme right is almost outright fascist, whereas you have a lot of conservatives who want to hold on to like traditional conservative values, but they're being kind of caught up in this tug of war, I think. So to get back to your point, the biggest corporate media entity that we have is Fox News. They lean right. They draw the most when it comes to cable. But if you look at your 5 to 6 biggest corporate legacy media entities, 4 to 5 of them would be considered like left leaning. To your point, all right. So I'll concede that aspect there. But here's the thing with the Dominion voting machines. The biggest people driving the Dominion voting machines being like fraudulent or behind some of the election things were outlets Fox, OAN, right, One American News Network, and Newsmax, and the Epoch Times, the Epic Times, right? All of those sources in the last few weeks have come out with retractions stating the election was not fraudulent, that their initial information from the Trump campaign and his Trump supporters was incorrect, and upon following up, there's no evidence to support the idea that the election was fraudulent. But of course, as we know, a lie moves a lot faster than the truth, right? So because these media entities can play fast and loose with the truth, right, they put a lie out there, it spreads like crazy, and then they slip the fucking truth in the back door. The left does this too now. Remember, I would argue it's not as quite as bad, but remember Nathan Sandberg? I think that's his name.
No.
You remember the story about that young man and his group? They were in, I think it was Washington D.C. And there's kind of the native group, and there's the black Israelites, kind of black nationalists, and they kind of converged. And the Washington Post ran the story like the white boy. They put his like face smirking, and they kind of ran with it like he was the racist one, all this.
Right.
Yeah, and they got that story wrong, right? And they slipped the truth in a few weeks later. Oh, we got it wrong. Here's the details. So all media does this. It's just the issue is we're talking about our election here. This is probably the most fundamental like foundation of our democracy. You know what I'm saying? Our voting, of our republic is our voting. So I said a lot. Go ahead, my man.
Oh, you won't bother me, dude. I want to ask you something else too. Hold on. Where was it? What was it? Man, I went all that. I wish we could all got together because I wouldn't have to do it all again. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
What the hell? Man, I can't. I had it in my head right here. Either way, it's, man, how can I put it? See, I don't use all the big words. Look here. I'm a big corn-fed country boy, but I'm trying to simplify it. From like I was telling him a while ago, Mike, from day one, Trump got in. He wasn't supposed to. This is the whole deal. This is what's got me. I've never been a theorist at all my whole life, dude. I've never, oh man, the government's doing this. There's UFOs, you know, they're feeding us saltpeter or whatever in our food. But either way, it's just the way it all laid out. Trump got in, he beat Hillary. That wasn't supposed to happen. That scared the shit out of them. Because that proved to Americans that you don't have to be a politician to get. And Trump, yeah, he should. There's times he shouldn't tweet at them, but he's just like me and you. He's a normal person. He's not a politician. He says what he feels, just like I do. I say what I think, and I'm not always right, but I am a lot of times, but not always. But either way, they did that. So then they tried to impeach him. All that didn't work. Trying to get him out. Then they come up with, I mean, it's just odd, dude. Now think about that. Boom. So, COVID-19 pops in. Boom. He didn't do it. Right. He let 500,000 people die. No, he didn't. Then they went to seclusion. Everybody got quarantined. Not everybody. People got quarantined, shut business down. People stressing, losing their houses, losing money, just losing. I mean, then boom, they cracked the door open and there's the riots, brother. The election comes in, boom. They slick Willie, they get it. She wins or he wins it and Kamala. And now the COVID's starting to fade in. It's going to fade off. It will fade away and they won't talk about it no more eventually. I mean, it's all to me. It's too perfect of even if I was a theorist, this would drive a theorist crazy here. They'd be out here, but I'm just saying it's too perfect, man. to do what they needed to get done.
So which part? So how about let's break this down a little bit. So which part which part's perfect, and which part do you think they broke down? Like, what do you think they got done? What do you think they're trying to do? And who's they?
The Democratic Party and some Republicans, I'm sure. I'm just saying, it is. Man, it was too perfect. I mean, the whole they couldn't get rid of them. They tried to impeach them twice.
Okay, so
they impeached them the second time.
So let's
try to keep them from running again.
So let's.
They don't want to run it in 2024. So they're scared to death of him, man, because he's not playing the bullshit that they're playing. Period.
Yeah, so let's jump into that. I just don't
think he does.
So we got two impeachments to play. Let's start with Ukraine. But actually, before we even get to Ukraine, let's backtrack to Russian collusion. Because I think
and they proved that wasn't him.
So yeah, so I'll actually extend a little. So I think there's a little bit of an argument I'll make that I think you'll agree with here. And so for example, I am on record saying that Michael Flynn is, in my opinion, a shit-stained traitor. But the FBI played him, okay? Because the original agent that was specifically on Michael Flynn's aspect of the case. Now, while not everyone agreed with him, a lot of people still think Michael Flynn was up to something. He thinks he kind of got played in terms of they were trying to get a certain answer out of him. They were trying to get a lie out of him as opposed to get certain information out of him, right? But the problem is there's a lot of smoke there. There's a lot of legitimate charges. There's a lot of things found in the Mueller investigation. The issue is people conflate a lot of Trump's shady business ties that we don't fully know about. They conflate a lot of disinformation relating to social media as it impacts kind of people's kind of cognitive processes, right, in the media and kind of sharing disinformation. And they think that meant like voter interference, right? And it's not what it meant. Those are kind of fundamentally different things. And so while I don't think there was like legitimate collusion in the sense that the Democrats talked about, there were some things that we should have known about. Because here's the thing. Why is he working so hard to hide his taxes? Why did he freak out when a few months back, the New York court system, they declared, the Supreme Court then followed up and said that we can actually go in, and New York's good to go into his taxes, his financials, all that jazz. And Trump's reaction was to call the Supreme Court of the United States, with 3 members he put on there, fascist. Why was that? Because a court case went against him that could expose what he's doing. So to your point, Russian collusion, like in terms of Trump working with Putin against America, that's kind of BS. Yeah, that's bullshit. But there's probably some shady business ties because most of these politicians and most of these business people have shady ties. They don't want people to know.
Well, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that.
Kind of admit there's some truth to both there in some way, right?
Yeah. Well, I just want you to think, man, look, I'm not. The other night you was, oh, man, your heart. No, man, look, I like Trump. I don't love Trump. I don't love anybody but my wife and my grandbabies and my daughters. And I'm not. It's just, man, it just don't make. And it's just, God, dog,
it's confusing,
man.
My man. It's confusing.
If Biden got 80 million votes, man, where was?
Bro.
Hey, man, Trump is filling stadiums up. Biden can't even fill up a classroom. Is that not odd? Does it strike you as odd in any way?
Not at all, because I can explain why. So what was going
on? If 80 million people like you, you're going to have a hell of a crowd anywhere you go.
But here's the thing. I have to explain why that's not true. So normally that would be true. Almost any time in history that would be true, right? If you're a rock star, if people like you, if you're gonna get that many people to vote,
you're gonna say COVID,
right? But here's the thing. This is where hear me out. This is where we have to understand that we don't all think the same way, right? So, for example, you probably don't think COVID is that much of a threat, right? But people on the left, whether they're right or wrong, we don't have to think that they're right. They could be totally wrong, right? We could all be wrong about the severity of this virus, right? Maybe the virus is not a threat at all. Maybe we're wrong about it, right? But the reality is we all think it's a really serious thing, so we're not going to group up like that. We're not going to show our support like that. We already said we're going to show our support through mail-in voting. We're going to show our support through voting when it matters, because we're going to take the pandemic seriously. Now, that's what
they pushed that mail-in voting. They pushed it, man.
Utah pushes mail-in voting. Utah loves mail-in voting, and they're all white and Republican over there. They love you. They love mail-in voting.
I didn't say it was all Democrats. There's some Republicans. They're all crooks. But either way,
our military loves mail-in voting.
They was burning vote. Look, they called them burning a bunch of ballots up, and then they said, oh, they wasn't real, they was fake. I mean, every time they come up with something, something that will link it to the voter fraud, man, it's swept under the rug. I mean, I'm a blue collar worker, man. I've worked hard my whole life, dude. I consider myself pretty intelligent. I might not sound it with this country ass voice, but dude, it's man, it's just too perfect, man. It's all just bam, 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 bam. Trump gone, but he's going to run again, no, if something else don't happen.
So here's the thing, Robert. Did you know that 72% of Americans are scientifically illiterate? What that means is, when we're talking about COVID, 70%, 7 out of 10 people in this country at minimum have no idea what's actually being said, whatever they believe, whether they agree with the science, whether they disagree with the science, whether they're not sure about it. That means most of us just don't understand what's being said. And so if we don't have a background in this, right, then we all have very strong opinions, right, on things. But the reality is most people don't know what they're talking about when it comes to COVID. And so there comes a point where we have to have some humility. So, for example, I don't know shit about cars, dude. Like, I lose my man card when it comes to cars. I don't know shit about, like, fucking handiwork and whatnot. Like, that's where I'm like, I make money. Thank God there's men who understand this shit. That's where I pay them, and they pay me to do some other shit, right? Like, I write people's papers and shit. I edit their shit. I do writing and whatnot, right? Everyone has their skill sets. There's people who understand the science shit.
What do you do for a living?
So I work at a restaurant. I'm the bookkeeper. I do some supervising, and I serve tables. And then I write papers at school for other college kids who are lazy as fuck and don't want to write their own papers.
I knew you was a nerd.
I'm a nerd as fuck. Dude. I wear a lot of hats.
I'm just talking with you.
No, you're good, bro. Dude, I don't take it personal at all. Because to your point, I do. So here's the other thing. I could have been a D1 soccer player. So I grew up in some locker rooms. I can talk some shit. I know how to play with the big boys. So that's why, to your point, you can't take it too seriously, right? You gotta be able to throw some shade, talk some shit, have a little bit of fun with it. But with that being said, we do have to accept that sometimes we don't know things, and there's facts and evidence and sources. And there comes a point if we don't know something and we get new information, we got to adjust, right? It sucks, right? It sucks being wrong. Like, I know there's things sometimes I come across I'm fucking wrong about, right? But when we see the information, the hard thing, but the good thing is to adjust to it and kind of come to a new conclusion, right? And then sometimes we might learn something new that kind of takes us back to where we were. But it's always about adjusting to new information, right? Not dismissing it or hiding from it. So, and both sides do this to some degree. So,
they call us conspiracy theory. You know where that come from? Conspiracy theory? The CIA when John F. Kennedy got killed.
A lot of it does. Conspiracy has always been a thing.
It's a conspiracy theory is what they consider something that you ain't supposed to know. That's where it comes from.
Period. The thing that's cool about conspiracy theories is the ones that are actually conspiracies usually actually come out, right? We usually learn about it.
And there's a bunch of them. I read about that. There's a bunch of conspiracy theories that pop up and that are true. But I mean, I've never seen like Pelosi. I've never seen any House Speaker act like she was acting from day one. Like she was in love with him and had a crush on him, and he didn't like her or something, like in school. You know what I'm talking about? She despised Trump.
So here's the thing, my man. Here's the thing. So it gets back to where, like, when we're looking at people's behavior, we have to gauge it in two ways, right? First, we have to before we analyze whether they're right or wrong, we have to understand what they believe, and then whether they're right or wrong. Once we understand what they believe, then we can kind of look at why they act, right? So Pelosi might be wrong, but if you think someone's a fascist, how are you going to react towards them? Not well, right? Now, she might be wrong. Maybe Trump's not a fascist. But if you think someone's a fascist, of course you're going to react negatively towards them, right? So that's not weird. It's not weird.
I treat everybody the same, dude. If I didn't like you, you would never know it. If I met you, you know what I mean?
I get
along with everybody.
But I have a question for you. Is that necessarily the right thing sometimes in life? Like, I think most of the time that's right? But I think we can find some examples of people you shouldn't be nice to, right?
Yeah, I got a tendency to be too nice. I was a pro boxer when I was 25.
Oh,
and
baby.
Man, I was a good boxer, but my problem was
game, huh?
Oh yeah, I could throw. I fought a couple years ago in Little Rock at a Tough Man. I'm 53 years old and I can still chuck his knuckles, dude. That ain't no. I can still chuck them.
You can stand in the pocket and trade, huh? All right, I hear you.
Yeah. But my problem was I wasn't mean enough I'd hurt you, and then I'd say, hey, I couldn't just your eyes. Once your eyes start doing this, and I couldn't just draw
You
back
don't
and beat
actually.
the fuck out of some of
You
it.
don't got the killer instinct. You want to win. You're
Right
competitive, but you
now,
don't want to kill someone.
you mess with my family, I do, but boxing, I didn't have. I wasn't hungry, and I was a good boxer, but I just didn't have. And I only been knocked down one time out of my whole career. I fought my pro fight. I went 2 years undefeated. Knocked everybody out in the first round. And
That's some power. You got those.
yeah, I
You
was
got those
one.
short twitch muscles. I like it.
You need to ask me what was my record. Did you just ask me what my boxing record? 1-0.
I can't. Was it undefeated? I like it. You're such
1-0.
That's too funny.
Undefeated. But that's what I'm getting at. I'm a nice guy, and I do listen. Everything y'all talk about, man, I keep it in there. When somebody tells me something, but I'm still walling around in my head because somebody's wrong, and it could be me. I'd hate it. You know what I mean? I'd hate to get on here and eat crow with you sitting there, man. I don't know, that'd be tough. But
it would be, right?
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if you're wrong, are you going to be the same way? Well, I was wrong, hell. Are you going to blow it off that easy? Or are you going to be like I am right now?
So I'll give you an example. Something I used to be wrong about was systemic racism. I used to not believe in systemic racism. I was wrong about that. I had to admit it. That was a tough one, right? It was really tough to admit that I was wrong about the impact of our society, our institutions, our criminal justice system, and things like that on people of color in this country, right? I didn't recognize it. I didn't understand the literature. I hadn't experienced it. I hadn't seen it, so I didn't know about it. And it was really easy to be like, oh, there's no way, right? And you kind of point to certain things and you give certain rebuttals. And then once I realized, like, wow, like shit, I had some beliefs that were kind of ugly, actually, when you actually spell it out, right? So that was something I had to admit I was wrong about. I used to have, dude, like for example, I used to be actual. So Robert, I was a registered Republican until 2019, believe it or not.
Hell, I voted for Bill Clinton.
Yeah, right?
I like
Bill
Bill
crazy,
Clinton.
right? People jump.
He just got caught doing what most of them probably do anyway.
But, yeah, you can't be leveraging power. But it's your point. Shit's really changed in the last 20 years, huh?
Sooner or later, I mean, it all to me, like that guy said, socialism leads to feminism, to capitalism, or whatever they said. And they turn in, and it's another word, and I can't think what it is, about making you feel bad for being white. And white is wrong, black is right. All they're doing is keeping people like this here nose to nose. And they've been doing it and there's a lot of, I don't call them African Americans because they're Americans, so I call them Black Americans. I'm a white American, you're a white American, black, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
it's
so let's flesh that out a little bit. Let's kind of dive into that a little bit. So you just said something that I think people kind of understand. There's two things I want to kind of address. First of all, I think we should all be feminists because we all should believe in equality for, like, actually, I think the term equity kind of applies sometimes, but let's backtrack a little bit. So you said something, right? The thing is, they kind of want everyone kind of pointing and arguing like this, right? Like,
right.
Arguing. So here's the thing. Everyone kind of seems to agree that on the left and the right, everyone seems to agree that there's at least some kind of level of class warfare, right? And we all seem to acknowledge that there's some racial tension. Right now, everyone disagrees on why, but we all acknowledge that there's this issue. Fair?
Oh, yeah, there's definitely an issue. But there wouldn't be as bad, but, I like to, somebody told me the other day, Republican, well, black lie, or, there's just there's more white people killed every year in America by cops than black people. But like I've told them, there's 12% black and 60, 70, 80% white. So yeah, the race.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, and I think they do, but I think it all comes down to product of how you're raised, brother. I've been pulled over, and hey, I've been to jail a couple times for not, I killed a couple people. Some bullshit. Yeah. But every time I've ever been pulled over, I'm yes, sir, no, sir. And I've been called, hey, I ain't no angel, I promise you, back in the day. But I've never had a problem with them, man. Not one time has one has ever smart. And the guy I know said, "Oh, because you're white." No, it ain't. No, it ain't. It's how you talk to now there are some gooberhead cops, you know what I mean? There's some real crooked ones, but I'm just saying, man,
So
you get
Robert,
out and start mouthing a cop. If I
Robert,
was a cop, I'd
where I want
defend
to.
myself.
Robert, I'm gonna pause.
I'm going home with my
I'm gonna
family.
pause you real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna pause you real quick because I want to address some of my comments. So, to all the people who I appreciate you guys your patience and checking this out. I understand some of you guys are frustrated in the comment section. I'm sure some of the people listening on his side are frustrated, but we have to have these conversations. And I know that you guys might not like having these conversations, but I think we can break these ideas down. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. I totally understand. Um, but constructive criticism is a good thing. This has to be done, right? It has to be done. I know you guys would like to isolate and not talk, but that's literally just serving our own egos. It's making it easier on us. It's not solving anything. It's not helping anything. It's literally just going to our own echo chamber. And unless you want like fundamental revolution, we're all going to rise up on the left and we're going to fucking slaughter everyone on the right, which I'm down for if you guys are actually about it. But you have to be about it. You can't just fucking isolate and then do nothing. All right. So you motherfuckers who ain't about this conversation, then go do some shit. All right. Anyways, so let's unpack this, Robert, because I think the reason people are frustrated is because I understand. What's difficult is your intent is good. I believe you're a good dude. I get that feeling. I get you're a good vibe, but the problem is racism doesn't require intent. Sometimes we can say things that are harmful to other communities, and I appreciate you acknowledging, for example, the per capita difference when it comes to police shootings, right? So we can't just look at overall numbers; we have to look at percentage. But
Right.
but when we look at outcomes in society, so when we're looking at schooling, for example, when we're looking at how much money people kind of make, when we're looking at interactions with police, we know that black men face harsher sentencing. We know that black men come into contact more with the police, et cetera, right? We know all these things happen at a worse scale and a more to the black community, for example. So if we know that race actually plays no difference when it comes to our biology or our physiology, right, things like that, then how come these differences exist in our society? If it's not race, that must mean society in some ways making it happen, right? And I think people have a hard time admitting it. Sometimes we don't want change, and that while we see bad things, we're more committed to just kind of living our life as it is than actually changing these things because we don't feel the negative impact, right? So there's a problem where a lot
Right.
of, so for example, there's black people aren't a monolith, right? Like there's like white people aren't a monolith, like the Latino community is not a monolith, right? The Asian community is not a monolith, right? There's races, right? There's different races, and then you have different ethnicities, right? And different cultures and subcultures and things like that. But the reality is, a lot of black Americans are crying out and saying, hey, man, this country's not treating us fairly. Like, we understand you guys don't get it, but of course you don't get it because it doesn't happen to you. And they're saying, please hear us out. Please have enough empathy to understand that this isn't happening to you. And we need you to understand that it's happening to us. And the problem is, like people, like, we're kind of very monkey see, monkey do. If we don't see it, we don't really understand it, right? And so like I know it was this way for me until for example I had some beliefs about gay people and the trans community until I actually met gay people, until I actually met the trans community that I used to have that were just wrong. They were kind of almost hateful, and because I wasn't exposed, I didn't know, right? And then actually talking to someone, realizing, humanizing them, right? Because we have this idea of an identity of a group, and we don't think of them as individuals and as people, and we kind of lose that sometimes. So long story short, people
I've
have to
never.
commit.
My
It's
mother
either
was a lesbian and still is. Been my whole life. I was raised around it. But I've never had any. I don't care. Gay, lesbian, trans. I'm trisexual. No, I'm playing with this. But I've never. I don't have any problem. Look, that's your just like this. The political thing. That's your choice. That's their choice. Uh,
I gotta
I'm
pause you
not
there because that's an
discussing.
important one because
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't
have no problem with that, man. Ever black, white. Hell, when I lived in Memphis, I had more black friends than I did white. But man, as far as that, the colors and that ain't nothing because man, I respect everybody until you give me a reason not to. You know what I mean?
so I like that you're trying to be respectful, right? People can live their life, right? It's not if as long as you're living your life and not like harming me, do your thing, right?
Right.
But we have to do kind of talk about one thing there. There's a difference between political ideology, right? So for example, I used to be a Republican. Now I'm leaning more left, right? I've kind of changed my views. That can shift, right?
Right.
You can't change your sexuality or your identity in that sense, really. I mean, it's not really a
No.
choice, right? That's because here's what I kind of ask. Why? So, for example, in Texas, Christian adoption agencies can block gay couples from having children. Most people want children, right? You just said that what you really love in life is your children, your grandchildren, your wife, right?
That's
And that
it.
goes for anybody, right? Whether you're straight, whether you're gay, whether you're trans, whether you're queer, whether you're bi, everybody most people have that drive where they want a family and they want children, right? They kind of want that. And in some states in America, you can prevent gay people from getting that family, right? If you're a Christian adoption agency, you don't have to adopt out to them. Why would anyone choose that kind of life?
I don't. You talk about the kid?
I'm talking about just anyone who's like gay, a lesbian, trans. Why would they choose that type of life where there's parts of this country that are so cruel to them, right? Why would they choose that on purpose?
Man, there is some legitimate people that are gay or lesbian that's just that is just them. But they're taking it and putting it in, man, it's in kid cartoons now, gay couples. I don't agree with that part, far as teaching it in the school, because it's, to me, I just don't think it ought to be just a big, it's, let them be what they want to be, and leave it at that. You ain't got to shove it down the kids' throats, because I mean, most people don't have no problem with it that I know.
So that
And
goes both ways, right? So to your point, that goes kind of both ways, right, Robert? So to your point,
right.
You don't want it to be introduced. We don't. It's because it goes sexuality in general. I think most of us don't want introduced to children too early, right?
No, I don't believe you're born that way, though. I hate to say that, but I don't believe you're born gay.
I understand it's hard to believe, right? Because we think of natural, right? And we think of like man and a woman. But did you know that homosexuality is seen in like dolphins, for example? It's seen in 400 plus species across the animal kingdom, not just humans. Did you know that?
Yeah, and it was a practice back in the days of Romans and all that. That was a practice. That was nothing.
So are animals making it? So are animals making that choice, or is that just something that's inherent to this world? It's not even inherent. It's, I would argue, probably necessary to this world.
I do believe the animals kind of thing, but I don't think it's quite like human homosexuality. You know what I'm saying?
So here's
a dog humps another dog to show that he's dominant.
Robert, I'm gonna nail your ass on this one, my dude. I'm gonna nail, because here's the thing.
Nail it. Go ahead. I want to fucking hear it.
Because I respect you. Because I think you're trying to be open-minded. Because I understand, I think we come from different backgrounds and whatnot, and I don't hear hate, but I think you have some beliefs that are just kind of wrong. So those are two different things, right? So I don't think you're trying to be hateful or anything like that. Like, I really do believe, if you knew someone was gay or like bisexual, I don't think you would treat them worse, right, in your day-to-day life.
No, I wouldn't treat them no different than anybody else.
Yeah, and I believe that. I get that vibe. I believe that. But the thing is, we have to. So, for example, in many countries across this world, you will get stoned to death if you're caught in a homosexual relationship. Why would you choose that? Why would someone choose that?
Man, I don't feel that way, so I guess we'll never know. I mean, it's something that, to me, I don't think you're born that way.
Exactly. Do you choose to be straight, or is it just how you are?
I think it's just everybody's got some kind of fetish. I mean, there's anything you can come up with. Somebody's got it.
We're getting closer, right? Because fetishes aren't really.
It's a choice, and the word I'm looking for is that's just your preference, man. That turns you on. That makes you
exactly. So Robert, how I can't get it up for a dude, right? Well, some dudes can't get it up for women. They get it up for dudes. It's just what it is. It's what they're into, right? I can't get it up for you. You can't get it up for me. But we all all into our thing.
Exactly. It's a choice. I think it is.
It's not really a choice, right? Because to your point, we act, but it's that internal. It's just what's in us. We're not. I don't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So.
Right. I know what you're saying. Kind of. But there's kids like at school. Now look here. I've always said this. You got a kid at school. He's 12, 13. The kids really don't fuck with him because they're mean to him. He's kind of weird. And he sees this gay guy running with all the girls. Everybody's talking to him. And boom. You'll do a lot. You'd be surprised what a kid does for attention. And then they're feeding it to him on cartoons. They talk about it at school. It's all over the news, TV.
So Robert, I think I got to be honest with you. I think that's one of these instances where I think we kind of allow like propaganda from our side because it happens to all of us, right? There's times where our fears kind of and like our like beliefs kind of override what we kind of know. So I think we just kind of acknowledge that our sexuality is not a choice. It just is what it is. Like we don't choose that shit. We pop out the womb, and some of us like to hop on it. Some of us like to stick it in. Some of us like to do both. It just doesn't matter, right? Who fucking knows how it works? We're all into whatever we're into. But it just is what it is. We don't choose that shit. So to your point, is it possible that certain people who feel uncomfortable with this type of thing would kind of lie about it and kind of make things up to make other people fear it the same way they fear it because they don't accept it? Because to your point, before Christianity was around, which has a big influence on our country, before Christianity was around, there's lots of societies that accepted this type of behavior. It wasn't weird. And this goes back in history. So is it possible that maybe this is one of those things that we might have gotten wrong, like as a country, and we're getting better at?
Mike told me the other day, and I thought about it. I don't agree that now there are people born with so many X chromosomes and boom, a Y chromosome that they get. You know what I'm talking about.
Genetic, just like sometimes people deviate from like genetics, things like that. Just different. Yeah, life's crazy
right.
Sometimes.
I mean, it's really, but I've always said you could try hard enough, you could raise somebody gay. I know you don't believe it, you don't agree with me, but you could raise somebody and make them gay. Period. I've seen it happen.
I'm gonna have to push back on that one. I do think. Look, here's the thing. I think you can influence people's behavior and what they support and their ideology and things, but I don't think you can really influence someone's sexuality. In fact, I think you can try. What happens is when you try to kind of influence someone's sexuality, you got a big problem. For example, I think there's a lot of people who are truly gay in this country, and when you push against that, you got problems. So, for example, when you look at the suicide rate amongst all young people, regardless of their sexuality, it's way too high.
Yeah.
Like it's like 10% plus, like at minimum, right? But if you look at the gay community, the trans community, it's so high. Like almost 50% of certain almost 50% of the trans community, like from 11 to 18, has committed suicide or thought about suicide at some point. That's insane. That's almost half, and that's.
I just wonder. A lot of that is one of those, like I just said, kind of forced up on them,
exactly. Society's forcing them to be something they're not. You just hit it, but it's the reverse. It's not the people around them forcing them to be something. It's society not letting them be themselves because we think everyone has to be the normal man and the normal woman. But not everyone's like that. There's a few people who are just different, right? Everyone's different to some degree, right? Like, and that's okay. But to that point, society has to learn to accept other people because it's not other people's fault they're different. It's society's fault for not being able to accept them because we're all just people who just come out in kind of different ways, you know?
Man, I've always said if I was gay, I'd be the biggest flamer around, man. I wouldn't care, dude. I wouldn't care what anybody thought about me. You know what I mean? I don't care, whatever. But when I go home, I'll be happy. That's what I want to do.
And here's the thing, it's easy. It's a good sentiment, right? Because it's like, yeah, it's okay. Be proud of what you are, right? It doesn't matter. Like we're all people, right? But to that point, it's really easy for us to feel like proud, right? Because our sexuality is like considered the norm, the default. It's what we always see in movies, what we always see in stories, right? And so the problem is, it's easy to take that mindset that we have now and apply it to other people. But the thing is, they don't share our lived experience, Robert, for the most part. They don't.
I can remember being a kid, and that was what you called somebody when you was mad at them, trying to make them mad at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean that was a bad thing, but now
exactly. And why was that?
Now,
exactly. Why are you trying? Exactly. Let's dive into that. Why was that trying to make them feel bad?
I just never understood that because, like I said, man, I am what I am. I'm 100%. No, I'm trisexual, man. I try anything once. No, I'll just play, man.
Shit. That was a fucking good one. I'll give you that.
Shit. I'm sorry about that, man.
You're a motherfucker. That was a good one. Man. You got a good chuckle out of me.
Look, I got to get the hell off here, but look here.
I feel you.
We all need to get.
Go ahead.
Me, you, and dude said right here. Look, I got to say this. Terminator. I know a lot of lesbians that got beat by men and go to women. Majority of them. You know what I mean? So that you're not. I
So I just
mean,
want to say two things I'd like to say. Three things I actually like to say. Number one, a huge thank you to my followers and Robert's followers for sticking it out. I know we took us a while to get this going. I appreciate you guys sticking out. I know some of you were kind of frustrated with the conversation, but on the second note, I'd like to say thank you to Robert because literally, you guys, if you're my follower, you know I can be a douchebag. Literally, my first
no, he's
interaction
been
with
good
Robert
tonight.
Live.
Yeah, hey, you surprised me a little bit. I thought you was gonna come out. I heard what you said, and I was like, oh damn it. But yeah, hey,
Yeah,
it's all good with me, brother. I
so
mean,
yeah,
I enjoy it.
hey man, I'm gonna nail your ass on some of those things. There's some of those things we're gonna have to dive into more, but I appreciate the conversation. Take care of yourself. Peace and love to your family, my dude. Okay.
But the next time I want to see you,
Fair
you hear
enough.
me? I want to see the real you there next time now.
You'll get some
All
of the
right,
fire
brother.
on some of these. I have no
Yeah,
issue
no
admitting I play
doubt.
the rules sometimes. Take care, my dude.
All right, brother. Y'all be cool. Thanks for y'all for coming. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yo, Mike, I'm gonna hang here for a second. Group of people, and then everyone, I'm gonna jump into a different live stream with Resist for Humanity, Cheyenne. We go on to Restream. If any of you want to jump in actually and talk to us, I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. If there's something you disagree, because I know some of you guys probably disagreed with this conversation or aspects of it. Maybe you think I got something wrong. Maybe I wasn't doing something right. I'm interested in your feedback. Obviously, I'm not always going to agree, but I do value what you guys think. I know I got a little heated towards y'all, but sometimes I don't think you guys understand what I'm trying to do. I do have a game plan. I promise. There's a method behind the madness. So let me see if some of these comments kind of catch up. Let me see some of this shit. I'm gonna just read through some of this right now. Appreciate that comment, monologues. Carnage, I'm gonna go to Restream. So it's a different like hosting platform. Mike, can you put the link in the? Are you still in here? If Mike's still in here, look for Resist for Humanity's comment. I think he can copy and paste the link in here. If he can't, he'll let me know. I might have just said he can't. Oh, perfect. So Shy just dropped in the Twitch stream. Okay, guys. So it's twitch.tv / Resist for Humanity. So I'm gonna hang out here for a few minutes. I'm gonna kind of try and direct you guys over there, and then we're gonna kind of analyze that conversation probably with kind of what I would consider my core group, people I'm working with behind all this shit. What's up, Sharon? Appreciate that. My evening's going really well. Didn't lose my sanity talking to a Trumper, so that's always good. Welcome in. What do you guys think? I think he was a decent dude, just, product of his environment. Not exactly the brightest bulb, probably. I don't want to be mean. Because I think he got it more than the last guy I talked to, in some ways, I think. I don't know. I feel like there's a chance. Maybe I'm naive. So. Have a good one, Solar. Appreciate you sticking down. Raised by the Wolf. I understand that. I understand. I get it, man. I understand. We're all gonna have different takes on how people come across. Raised by the Wolves. If you think he was deplorable, you should have seen the last couple I talked to. Worse, man. Way worse. That's kind of what I thought, Katie. I think he was really trying to listen. Because there was a few things he kind of conceded on, so... And like I said, like you guys, I called him a coward and shit. I really went at his ass. When his first interaction with me, I went at his ass. So for him to come back and actually end up jumping in was bold of him at minimum. Because 99% of these motherfuckers won't jump in, so... And that's the thing, actually, going forward, too, man. Tag other creators. I'm down to do these conversations with anyone. That's what we got to get back to, having these conversations, clip of them, broadcast them, kind of send the message out to people, getting more people involved. We all got to be having these conversations, right? So on whatever level it is, whether it's, in an online live chatting setting with other people, whether it's, in your personal bubble with people, be it coworkers, friends, peers, family, etc. It doesn't matter how you're doing it. Everyone can have these conversations on some level, big or small. Sour Patch Chris, it's because when it comes down to it, I think we're all kind of different versions of each other, man. If I was born in his position, I'd probably be saying the same shit he was, right? If he was born in my position, he'd probably be saying the same shit I am, right? to some degree, we really are products of our environment in large part. Obviously, you got to play the hand. But I say ignorant shit, and I just hope that when I say ignorant shit, people call me out and they educate me, right? They don't just fucking write me off. So, yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get, Sour Patch Chris. Not a bad dude, not trying to harm people, but he can't understand that his beliefs are harming people. Swerve, we talked about race, COVID. I try to get into impeachment stuff. We talked about Russian collusion, media, the LGBTQ community, things of that nature. Yeah, Big Money. You could tell there's a lot of times he was kind of retreating and kind of just stumbling back to it like it's all perfect. Yeah, guys, just want to highlight again, Cheyenne for UBI. Just hit the link there. It's twitch.tv/resistforhumanity. I'm going to be jumping in over there. What time is it? I'll be jumping over there in 4 minutes. So we're going to wrap this up for the last 4 minutes. And then if you want to keep going with me, Michael from Resist for Humanity, and with Shy from Cheyenne for UBI, we'll be going there. I'm sure some of the other people I kind of stream with will be in there. We'll have like a kind of fun little group chat, kind of roundtable discussion. And if you want to jump in, just kind of comment in that comment section. Let us know, and we'll find a way to get you in if you want to kind of jump in and say something. Yeah, hippie chick, I'm kind of with you. I go back and forth, right? Sometimes I get really pissed off because information's so easily accessible, right? So it feels like you're almost like have to be like doing it on purpose, right? To your point, willful. But hippie, in that case, let's say he is being willfully ignorant. Let's say there's just no getting through to him. Well, there were some of his followers listening to that, and maybe a few of them took away the message to some degree, right? And maybe they'll kind of share it with other people, right? And so you hope to make some kind of a difference. And you just have to acknowledge that it's going to be really minuscule in the grand scheme of things. But if everyone was doing something minuscule, well, it'd be very powerful. Yeah, Steven, 100%, dude. I would say probably about half of white people are going to work really hard to not allow for this message, not to get the message. They're going to work against it. They're going to react against it. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Really do appreciate all your guys' feedback, your comments, your patience. I know you guys had to have been semi-annoyed by that. I would love to find someone who's probably honestly more libertarian, frankly, who's probably on a better level, to be frank, a little more informed, so we could actually have like a better conversation, really drive the ideas. Because I'd love to actually talk about the ideas and kind of discuss what to do moving forward as it relates to like strategy, as it relates to policy, as it relates to things like capitalism, right, as it relates to UBI. Obviously, things like healthcare for all, that's not a debate, it just needs to be done. But yeah, Jaden, I understand it. For some of you guys, like, dude, I understand. Like, there's points in time where I want to just slap someone, but I had a goal in mind, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so do I, hippie. I'm not holding my breath, though. But we still try, right? With Russian collusion, it's kind of complicated, Italian. I'm going to wait and see. I think New York's going to see some shit. I think it's possible that they kind of strong-armed his ass, right? And there's just certain things. But maybe that's collusion then. I don't know. Who fucking knows, man? Honestly, part of that was just trying to concede some things. Because what happened with Michael Flynn, for example, the FBI was kind of shady with that. So it was kind of me just trying to concede a little bit to kind of draw him in. And then kind of get to the point I wanted to. Because sometimes you got to be a little strategic in how you persuade. Is what it is. We're playing an information game. So, anyways, I'm gonna transition inside and hop over to the other thread, guys. So, let's do it. What's up, kitten caboodles? Cat's just chilling on my desk. Alright. Like, I actually had a list of shit I wanted to address. We didn't get to fucking any of it. Yeah. It was hard to keep them nailed down on a topic, but that's always the fucking case. So. Nothing new there. All right. So last call there, guys. Like I said, Twitch.tv, Resist for Humanity. Go follow if you want to keep up with the next conversation. I am jumping over there. Appreciate you guys. We'll be doing this more during the week. Look for my videos where I kind of drop a heads up, like, yo, we'll be hopping on tonight or something. I'll be kind of trying to be more organized with this. And Raised by the Wolves, the podcast is in the works. In fact, I actually have a podcast, a few episodes up. So anyways, thanks guys. We'll be doing this again soon. Take care everyone. And follow over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Resist for Humanity.